Can I ask you something? Have you ever looked at yourself and said, why do I keep going back? I know better. I've learned better. I've prayed about this. I've read the books. I've listened to the podcasts. So why am I still repeating the same cycle? Can we talk about that today? Because sometimes the problem isn't that you don't know what to do. Sometimes the problem is that you are trying to create a new life while still carrying an old identity. Welcome back to Empowered Me. This month, we have been talking about consistency is self-trust. Week 1, we challenged the belief that motivation creates change because motivation is unreliable. Week 2, we talked about discipline being self-respect, that keeping promises to yourself matters. Today, we are going deeper because discipline is not just about changing your schedule, it's about changing how you see yourself. One of the biggest mistakes we make with growth is that we focus only on the outcome. We say, I want to lose weight. I want to build the business. I want a healthier relationship. I want to communicate better. I want to be confident. And those are beautiful desires. Remember last month? We talked about desire. Wanting more is not the problem. God gave us the vision. God gave us purpose. God gave us the ability to grow. But desire shows the destination. Discipline develops the person who can sustain it. Because here's the truth, a new outcome with an old identity will always create internal conflict. Let me say that again. A new outcome with an old identity will always create internal conflict because eventually your habits will return to who you believe you are. As an emotional intelligence and behavior change coach, I need you to understand something. Behavior always has a story. We don't just do things randomly. There is usually a belief underneath the behavior. The person who never starts may not be lazy. They may believe, what if I fail? The person who keeps saying yes may not just be helpful. They may believe, if I disappoint people, they will leave. The person who hides may not lack ability. They may believe, if I am seen, I will be criticized. That's why just changing the behavior doesn't always work. You have to understand the belief that keeps feeding it. And I know this personally because there was a season when people started to say, Natasha, you're too much. You're always posting. You're doing a lot. And if I'm honest, I started listening. Mm. I started showing up less, posting less, speaking less. I thought I was protecting relationships, but really, I was shrinking. And what I noticed was that the shrinking didn't just affect my business, it affected me, how I showed up, how I took care of myself, how I carried myself. Because when you start believing a smaller version of yourself, your habits begin matching that identity. I had to make a decision. Was I going to live from people's comfort or from God's calling? This is why small habits matter, because small habits are not really about the habit, they are about evidence. Every time you keep one promise, you create evidence. I am someone who follows through. Every time you show up, you create evidence. I am someone who does what I said. Every small decision is casting a vote. Every vote is either for the old version or the woman you are becoming. And listen, don't underestimate small beginnings. Sometimes we want the big transformation, the big announcement, the big moment. But transformation usually happens quietly. Nobody sees you choose differently. Nobody sees the prayer. Nobody sees you closing the app. Nobody sees you take the walk. Nobody sees you respond differently instead of reacting. But you know, and your brain knows. So stop asking, what huge thing do I need to change? Start asking, what small thing can I repeat until it becomes who I am? Because repetition creates identity. Identity creates consistency. Consistency creates transformation. This week, finish the sentence. I am becoming someone who, not I am trying, not I hope I am becoming. Then I want you to choose one action that proves it. If you say, I'm becoming healthier, what is today's evidence? If you say, I'm becoming disciplined, what is today's evidence? If you say, I am becoming courageous, what is today's evidence? Small evidence repeated daily. Now, if you're listening and thinking, Natasha, I know who I am. I know what I want to become, but I keep going back to old patterns. I want you to know something. Your patterns are telling a story, and awareness is where change begins. That's why I've created the Why I Am Stuck assessment. Because before you change the habit, you have to identify the pattern. Are you operating from fear, perfectionism, avoidance, people pleasing, overfunctioning? You cannot change what you have not recognized. Take the assessment and start understanding what's really keeping you stuck. Because the goal is not just to do better, the goal is to become different. Remember, small habits are not small. They are building your identity every day. You are teaching yourself, this is who I am. So choose carefully, because the woman you become tomorrow is being built by the promises you keep today. Consistency is self-trust, and it's time to own the woman you're becoming.